Hey friends, for those who don't know me, my name is Tara Marie, and welcome to my channel, True Crime Matters, where we talk about and analyze everything true crime. So this video is part 4 of a series of videos in which I break down and analyze the 1,000+ page motion that was recently made public and submitted to the court by the LA Innocence Project on behalf of Scott Peterson. If you haven't seen parts 1 through 3 of that series, I highly suggest that you actually go back there and start, and then come back here, and I'll post the links down below so you can easily find them. But today, I'm just going to read declarations by 2 witnesses regarding their sightings of Laci Peterson after her husband, Scott Peterson, had left the family home for the day. These declarations were submitted to the court as support of new evidence that was found that the LA Innocence Project says supports Scott Peterson's claim of actual innocence. Now, the first declaration I'm going to read is from Homer Malero, and it reads, "I am a retired commercial painter. My wife, Helen, who goes by the name Sue, and I have been married for 60 years, and we lived in our house on Phoenix Street in Modesto, California for the last 27 years. In September of 2023, attorneys for the Los Angeles Innocence Project contacted me and explained that they were investigating the case of Scott Peterson. The attorneys asked me if I would talk to them about what I saw and what I reported seeing December 24th of 2022 related to the disappearance of Laci Peterson, and I agreed. The attorneys visited our home first September 13th, 2023, and we spoke a short while out on our front porch, but we had company at the time, so we agreed to meet again in a few days to pick up where we left off. We met again on September 15th of 2023. In the morning of December 24th, 2002, my wife Sue and I left home about 9:30 a.m. to head out to do some shopping and drop off a Christmas present to a coworker. Before we got into the car, we stopped and talked to one of our neighbors for a few minutes and gave them their Christmas gift, which is something we did every year on Christmas Eve. After that, we got into our Chevy station wagon and went on our way. Our first stop was at the USA Mini Mart gas station, located at the corner of Camellia and Miller Avenue, where we stopped to get gas. I recall that the gas station was busy and there were cars waiting in line to get gas. I got out of the car to pump gas while Sue went inside the store to buy some lottery tickets. The USA Mini Mart gas station later became the BZ Mart gas station, but the photo attached as Exhibit A generally shows the layout of the gas station as it appeared in 2002 when we stopped for gas December 24th. I recall that I was parked at gas pump number 1, and there was a tan van parked on the other side of the island at pump number 2. The diagram attached as Exhibit B shows the location of my car in relation to where the tan van was parked. I worked for the Painters and Allied Trades Union at the time and commuted back and forth to Alameda, so I commuted about 1,000 miles per week and was constantly noticing different types of vehicles on the road. The tan van I saw on December 24th, 2002 at the USA Mini Mart gas station was unlike any van I have ever seen. The paint was dull, like it had been on the road for a while. It had a chrome ladder on the right rear door going from the bumper to the roof, a chrome roof rack on top, and a tire mounted on the left rear door with a cover that had a chrome rim, with the rest of the cover painted the same color as the van. The van had windows in the back with white curtains partially covering them, and the passenger side with the rear portion of the van with curtains covering that window. The attorneys showed me photos of several different styles of vans and asked me if any of the photos appeared to have any characteristics similar to the van I saw. There was one photo I saw that had a ladder and rear-mounted tire that looks similar to the van I saw and is attached as Exhibit C prior to September 23rd, 2023. No one who interviewed me ever asked me to try to identify the type of van I saw on December 24th, 2002. Attached as Exhibit D is a color chart where I have initialed a color that closely resembled the color of the van I saw on December 24, 2002, to the best of my recollection. As I was pumping gas, I saw a man walk out of the store toward the van, and I heard a man's voice come from the van call out, "Got the cigs?" And then the man who was walking out of the store mumbled something back to him. I did not see which direction the man who was walking out of the store went. The man I saw was in his late 40s or early 50s, roughly between 5'8" and 5'10", and approximately 150 to 155 pounds. He was wearing a white t-shirt that was very unkempt. He had facial hair that appeared to be roughly 3 to 5 days worth of growth. I recall that the van drove around the store as it exited the gas station. I did not see which way the van went when it left. After the van left, I finished pumping gas and got into our vehicle to wait for my wife. When Sue got back into our car, we exited the gas station. I turned left onto Miller Avenue, heading west. As I was approaching Covina Avenue, I looked to my right and I saw a beautiful young pregnant woman with shoulder-length hair walking her dog, walking south on Covina toward Miller. The woman was standing approximately at the second house north of the intersection on the west side of Covina. A map indicating the location where I saw the woman and the dog is attached as Exhibit E. I remember that the young woman caught my attention because she was very pretty, very pregnant, and appeared to be struggling with her dog. The dog, which was a golden retriever type, had a long blonde and reddish coat with white coloring around its neck and chest area. I recall pointing the woman out to my wife as we drove by, commenting on how the woman was struggling with her dog. My wife said that she hoped the woman did not fall. The dog was standing on his hind legs with his front paws up in the air, pointing away in the direction of a house on the other side of the street. About a week or so later, I drove around the block in that area to see what may have prompted the dog to be barking and pulling in that direction, and I observed that there was a house on the east side of Covina that had 3 or 4 dogs inside a gate that would bark as people walked by. I recall that I was driving pretty slowly down Miller Avenue after leaving the gas station, and that as I continued driving past Covina on Miller, I looked in my rearview mirror to see if the woman was still walking her dog. I had an extra wide rearview mirror in the station wagon, as I recall looking back to see if the woman had made it to the intersection. I saw the dog first, and then saw the woman behind the dog. Looking in my rearview, I saw her turn right onto Miller heading west, but I did not see her crossing the street. The attorneys from the LA Innocence Project asked me if I could recall any details about the dog I saw. I showed them a 2001 through 2002 calendar that I asked my wife to save because it has a golden retriever on the cover that reminded me of the type of dog I had seen. A photo of the calendar is attached as Exhibit F. The attorneys showed me a photograph of a dog that looks similar to the dogs on the calendar cover and asked me if it resembled the dog that I saw on December 24th, 2002. The dog in the photo looks just like the dog I saw on December 24th, 2002. A copy of the photograph of that dog shown to me is attached as Exhibit G. I recall that the pregnant woman I saw walking her dog was wearing a white long-sleeve blouse and black pants. She had brown hair that went down to about her collar. I recall seeing photos of Laci Peterson on the news and around the neighborhood after she went missing. I recall immediately recognizing Laci Peterson as the pregnant woman that I had seen walking her dog near Miller and Covina on December 24th. I am positive the woman I saw walking her dog on December 24th, 2002 was Laci Peterson. After leaving the USA Mini Mart gas station, my wife and I went to drop off a Christmas gift at a friend's house on Grape Avenue, and then we went to do some shopping at Save Mart. and Long's drugstore. I would estimate that the time I saw Laci Peterson was around 10 a.m. on December 24th, 2002, or perhaps a few minutes earlier or a few minutes later. When I read in the newspaper that the police were seeking information from anyone who may have seen Laci Peterson alive on December 24th, I called the Modesto Police Department tip line and reported what I had seen. The attorneys from the LA Innocence Project showed me a report bearing my name, indicating that I called the MPD tip line on January 1st, 2003. I recognized my name and information in the report. A copy is attached as Exhibit H. After I called the tip line on January 1st, 2003, no one from MPD called me back. I was concerned that the information I gave was not properly relayed to the investigators who were supposed to be looking for Laci. On January 3rd, I decided to go to the MPD Search Command Center located in East Loma Park to make a report in person. I spoke to the officer who said he was in charge of running the search team. His name was Sergeant Ron Cloward. The LA Innocence Project attorneys asked me if I would recognize Sergeant Cloward if I saw him in a photo, and I told them that I probably would. I was shown a photograph of a man, and I told the attorneys I recognized him to be Sergeant Cloward, whom I met at the MPD Search Command Center on January 3rd, 2003. This photograph is attached as Exhibit I. I also recall seeing another MPD officer here who I overheard referred to as Officer Jim. I told Sergeant Cloward about the woman I recognized to be Laci Peterson walking her dog on the morning of December 24, 2002. I also told Sergeant Cloward about the van I saw at the gas station that same morning. Sergeant Cloward did not write down anything I said. So here we see again another example of the officers not taking any notes. When I explained to Sergeant Cloward that I had seen Laci walking her dog on December 24th, he told me and my wife that scent dogs had tracked Laci's scent going in another direction, and that the dogs could tell that Laci was taken in a vehicle, not on foot, and that the dogs were, quote, really smart. I understood Sergeant Cloward's statement to mean that based on information he had, what I saw was incorrect and could not have been Laci. He was very dismissive of my report and did not ask any questions. My wife and I stayed at the MPD Search and Command Center after talking to Sergeant Cloward and volunteered in the search efforts for Laci Peterson. My wife and I stayed at the MPD Search Command Center after talking to Sergeant Cloward and volunteered in the search efforts for Laci Peterson. Attorneys from the LA Innocence Project showed me a report dated January 3rd, 2003, which has my name and address on it, and indicates that my wife and I participated in the search. This report accurately reflects my name and address, as well as the areas I recall searching on that date. In addition to calling the tip line and speaking with Sergeant Cloward at the MPD Search Command Center, I also spoke to an MPD police chaplain at the Red Line Inn Hotel, where volunteers were gathering to help search for Laci Peterson. I told the police chaplain that I had seen Laci Peterson on December 24, 2002. Attorneys from the LA Innocence Project showed me a police report dated January 14, 2003, in which MPD Chaplain Crocker reported that someone had repeatedly reported that they had seen Laci on December 24, 2002 around 10 a.m. I believe Chaplain Crocker is who I spoke to at the Red Line Inn, and that this tip is describing my efforts to report what I had seen. A copy of that report is attached as Exhibit K. On January 10, 2003, I was contacted by Gary Ermoian, a private investigator who was looking into Laci Peterson's disappearance. Mr. Ermoian explained that he was contacting witnesses who had seen Laci Peterson on December 24, 2002. I told Mr. Ermoian about what I had seen that day, including seeing the pregnant woman with her dog and the old tan van that I saw at the gas station. I provided Mr. Ermoian with my original receipts from the Save Mart and Long's showing the times we checked out at those two stores on the morning of December 24th, 2002. LA Innocence Project attorneys showed me a copy of the report authored by Mr. Ermoian and a photocopy of the receipts that I provided him. I've reviewed the documents and the contents of Mr. Ermoian's report, and they accurately reflect what I saw on December 24, 2002. And the photocopies are the receipts that I provided him. Both are attached as Exhibit L. Sometime after I spoke with Mr. Ermoian, I saw a Modesto Bee article that published the photographs of two men who were arrested for committing a burglary of a house on Covina Avenue in the La Loma neighborhood. Upon seeing the photographs, I immediately recognized one of the men in the photographs as the man that I saw approaching the tan van at the gas station on December 24th, 2002. A copy of the photos from the Modesto Bee article is attached as Exhibit M. After seeing the photographs of the burglars, I contacted Mr. Ermoian. He came to my house on May 16, 2003, and interviewed me again about the man that I saw at the USA Mini Mart gas station immediately before I saw Laci Peterson walking. I also explained to Mr. Ermoian that I was concerned that the police did not believe the information that I relayed to them. I had spoken with Vivian Mitchell, another resident of the La Loma neighborhood, who recalled seeing Laci Peterson out walking her dog on Christmas Eve. Mrs. Mitchell told me that after reporting to the police that she had seen Laci Peterson, she felt like she was, quote, going crazy because the police officers she spoke to were trying so hard to get her to change her story, and that the woman she saw had blonde hair instead of brown hair, like Laci. Attorneys from the LA Innocence Project showed me a report authored by Mr. Ermoian recounting the interview he conducted with me on May 16, 2003. The report accurately reflects what I told Mr. Ermoian on that date. A copy is attached as Exhibit N. On May 22, 2003, Mr. Ermoian and an attorney named Matt Dalton returned to my home to film an interview with me and my wife. I told them about what I had seen on December 24, 2002. In addition to the events I witnessed on December 24th, I recounted to them all of my attempts to report this information to the MPD. The attorneys from the LA Innocence Project showed me a copy of this video and asked me if it appeared to be true and correct version of the interview that was conducted. I recognized myself and my wife as the subject of the video conducted by Mr. Ermoian, and confirmed to the attorneys that it was an accurate account of my interview. Sometime in March of 2004, someone from the Stanislaus County District Attorney's Office showed up at my home and served subpoenas to me and my wife. We were confused because we did not understand why the DA's office would subpoena us, given that no one from the MPD ever interviewed us, despite my efforts to report what I had seen. Copies of the subpoenas are attached as Exhibit O. Attorneys with the LA Innocence Project asked me whether anyone from the MPD or Stanislaus County District Attorney's Office contacted us prior to July 2004. I explained to them that other than the subpoenas we received March of 2004, no one from the police or prosecution ever contacted me or my wife. The attorneys showed me a report by a DA investigator, Bill Grogan, stating that he interviewed me and my wife July 28th of 2004. I recall one day in July of 2004, I was walking out of our house and I had just locked the door when a man approached me. I do not recall his name. He did not show me a badge or tell me that he was part of law enforcement. He said he wanted to talk to me about the report I submitted about seeing Laci. We talked for about 4 minutes. He did not write anything down that I said. I don't recall seeing a recording device, and he did not ask me if he could record our conversation. I recall he had gray hair and was driving a silver Nissan. He was wearing khaki pants and a tan zip-up jacket. Attorneys from the LA Innocence Project showed me a report dated July 29, 2004 and authored by Stanislaus County DA investigator Bill Grogan, stating that he interviewed me and my wife at our home. A copy of his report is attached as Exhibit P. I do not recall the interview with Mr. Grogan, but the contents of his report are generally consistent with the other reports I have given in this case from the beginning about seeing Laci walking her dog on December 24, 2002. There is one error in Mr. Grogan's report, however, because it states that I did not see Laci or the dog when I looked in the rearview mirror. That is incorrect because I saw both of them very briefly. At one point, probably from watching the news about Scott Peterson's trial, I saw a report about the prosecution arguing there were other women walking their dogs on December 24th, and that witnesses were confusing Laci with those other women. I told attorneys from the Los Angeles Innocence Project that I wished I could see photos of those other women so I could see if I was confused about seeing Laci. So they showed me photos of several women who may have walked their dogs that day. After looking at those photos, I can confirm that I did not confuse any of those women with Laci Peterson. The photos I reviewed are attached as Exhibit Q. The woman I saw walking her dog on December 24th, 2002 was Laci Peterson. I was never called as a witness by either the defense or the prosecution at Mr. Peterson's trial, although I was subpoenaed by the prosecution. I have never testified about what I saw on December 24, 2002. I was available to testify for Scott Peterson's trial in 2004. I would have testified had I been called and would have done so truthfully and consistent with the facts stated in this declaration. It has always troubled me that Mr. Peterson was convicted without the jury hearing this information, as well as information from other witnesses, like Vivian Mitchell, who also reported seeing Laci walking her dog on December 24th of 2002. I have always believed then, and I continue to believe now, that the woman I saw walking was Laci Peterson. I have told anyone who will listen about what I saw that day, because I believe I saw Laci Peterson alive and walking on December 24th of 2002. Now, this is an interesting witness because not only did he feel so strongly about the fact that he says he saw Laci, but he felt so strongly that he called the police pretty quickly and then actually showed up at the police station as well, which just proves to me that he really believes that who he saw was Laci. And honestly, anyone who looks at all the photos of these other women who could have been walking their dogs around that area the same day, I mean, none of them really look anything at all like either Laci or Mackenzie. Either the dog doesn't look like a golden retriever at all, or the woman looks like the opposite of how Laci looked. What's very interesting about this witness is not only does he say exactly where he saw Laci walking on the street and when, but he also had a very strong reaction when he saw the photo of the burglars. And I really believe that the man he saw at the gas station in that van was probably 100% one of the burglars. But what I find most puzzling is really two things. It's the statement he made about having no memory about being interviewed by the police, Grogan, when he showed up, but also the statement he made about the other witness who reported seeing Laci, Vivian Mitchell, who said specifically that she felt she was going crazy because officers she spoke to were trying so hard to get her to change her story and say that the woman she saw had blonde hair instead of brown hair like Laci's. I mean, to me, that is very, very interesting. Why would a witness feel that way? Was it just her imagination, or was there something behind that? Were the police really trying to push that narrative to have this witness to say that? But what does seem to be in line with most things I've read about this case, again, the officer that he initially reported seeing Laci to took no notes and literally made a comment about scent dogs being more accurate. So it kind of goes to show maybe that they were ruling out actual accurate witness accounts just because their statements didn't line up with the scent dog evidence, which is sometimes considered junk science in court. Okay, on to the declaration by a man named Tony Freitas. He says he's a current resident of Modesto, California. On September of 2023, attorneys from the LA Innocence Project contacted me and explained that they were investigating Scott Peterson's case. They asked me if I recalled giving statements in the past about what I witnessed on December 24th, 2002 in connection with the disappearance of Laci Peterson. I agreed to answer their questions to the best of my memory. In December of 2002, I resided at 1406 Cypress Ave in Modesto, California. I was employed by Oro Wheat Bread as a route driver, delivering bread products to restaurants in Modesto. On December 30th, 2002, after I heard that a woman named Laci Peterson had gone missing and saw her picture on the news and on missing person flyers, I called the police to report that I had seen Laci walking her dog on a sidewalk near a triangular park north of Yosemite at about 10 a.m. on the morning of December 24th, 2002. The attorneys showed me a report showing that the tip was called in on that date. The information in that report appears to accurately summarize what I saw to the best of my recollection. A copy of the report is attached as Exhibit A. The attorneys asked me if I could still recognize the type of dog I saw, and I told them I probably would. They showed me a photo of a dog, and I confirmed that the dog appeared to be similar to the dog I saw with Laci. I recall that the dog was pulling on the leash. In early 2003, I recall meeting with an investigator named Gary Ermoian, who contacted me to ask for details about what I had seen on December 24th, 2002. At the request of the attorneys, I reviewed a memo that indicates it was authored by Mr. Ermoian, and I can confirm that the contents of the report appear to be accurate and correct. The attorneys also asked me to review a video clip of what appeared to be Mr. Ermoian interviewing me in May of 2003 to verify that I am the individual in the video. I can confirm that I am the person being interviewed by Gary Ermoian in the video clip dated May 21st, 2003. I do not recall speaking to anyone from the police department until sometime in 2004, when a man named Bill Grogan of the Stanislaus County DA's office asked me about what I saw. I reviewed the contents of the memo concerning Mr. Grogan's interview with me that the attorneys showed me, and I can confirm that it is accurate to the best of my recollection. Attorneys from the LA Innocence Project showed me a map of the La Loma area that I was driving through on December 24th of 2002 and pictures of two intersections on La Loma Ave, La Loma/Santa Barbara and La Loma/Miller. The attorneys asked me if I recognize either intersection as the one I recall seeing Laci Peterson at that day. I recognize the photograph of the intersection of La Loma and Santa Barbara as the location I saw Laci Peterson walking her golden retriever sometime around 9:45 and 10 o'clock a.m. on December 24, 2002. I specifically recognize the bench in the photo as the bus stop I saw two men at the opposite side of the road from where I saw Laci walking. I have indicated on the photo and map where I recall seeing Laci. Attorneys from the LA Innocence Project showed me a statement I signed in 2012 that appears to indicate that I saw Laci Peterson at the intersection of La Loma/Miller. I do not recall the investigator who conducted that interview with me showing me any photographs of the intersection. After viewing the street view photos of both intersections, I can confirm that where I saw Laci Peterson was near the intersection of La Loma and Santa Barbara, which is consistent with all of my previous statements. I have reviewed this declaration in its entirety, and it is accurate to the best of my knowledge. So after I read both of these witness accounts, I looked at a map. I mean, they have maps included here with the motion, but I just wanted to do a visual Google map of that area. And it really is only about 3 blocks, if that, from the Peterson home, where both of these witnesses claim to have seen Laci walking that day with Mackenzie. Now, This witness, it doesn't actually say in this declaration whether or not the police ultimately interviewed him. It only says he reported it to police and then later the private investigator interviewed him. But I do find the fact that both of these witnesses reported seeing Laci in essentially the same intersection around the same time, and they both felt strongly enough to call this into the tip line immediately after the investigation started. And I know they always say that witness accounts are notoriously unreliable, but it just seems very interesting that both of these men would be so wrong about seeing her at the same time in the same place, yet feel strongly enough that they are right to not only get involved then, but to get involved again now. Now, it's been said before that this is a high-profile case, so the fact that any of these witnesses are risking getting involved with it says a lot, in my opinion. So they must truly believe that Laci was alive after Scott left for the day. But what do you all think? Were police just ignoring witnesses that were coming forward claiming to have seen Laci that day, especially witnesses who were claiming in the same area? Why were they relying so heavily on dog scent evidence? I would love to hear what you guys think in the comments section down below. And please take a second to like and subscribe if you found anything here useful at all. I would truly appreciate your support. And as always, thank you so much for watching, and be careful out there.